So everyone, it is indeed time. The first big stream to show us all of the Exedra information that we could have asked for has happened, and I'm going to give you all of the information for it. First off, the most important stuff right off the bat. If you don't watch the rest of the video, it's okay, but at least this. It's on Steam, it's English, and of course it will be on mobile as well, but yeah, it seems like a global release. Steam PC version sounds pretty darn good. And one thing, some people will already have some reaction to seeing this screenshot right here. I'll get to it, don't worry about it. So yeah, let's just go quickly over all the information that we saw from the stream at least. So first off, what is Magia Exedra? So basically it's the new mobile/PC game, 3D graphics and all that kind of stuff that you just saw, and it's basically going to be a combination of various different Madoka stories. So first off, of course, you're going to have the mainline series, Madoka Magica, with the Pulamagi Holy Quintet, all of the characters you already know. But on top of that, we'll also have Magia Record is going to be in there. We're going to have Oriko Magica, we're going to have Tat Magica, we're going to have Suzune Magica. They're all going to be in there, as well as Kazumi Magica, even though it's not specifically shown here. Kazumi was in the trailer, and there is a trailer. I do have a repository of all of the stuff that was shown, like the trailers and all of that stuff. It's in the news channel for the Discord, so if you're in the Exedra Discord, which right now is still the Magia Record Discord, but it will be the Exedra Discord once Magia Record goes end of service in less than a month, sadly. But it's linked in the description below, and there you'll see the trailer that I just mentioned, and all of the other images will also be there. So yeah, it's a combination of all those different types of Madoka stories that you all probably, hopefully already know. If not, you should probably read some of those mangas. Some of them are alright. Some of the stuff they mentioned is, well, since Magia Record is going end of service at the end of the month, they're saying, okay, Magia Record is going to turn into the archive app, and this archive app allows you to like look at basically your account from how it was when Magia Record was, you know, still running. And basically all it does is, you know, the button that takes you to your overview of all your characters, basically that menu is going to be there, as well as the menu that takes you to the archive itself, which is the selection of all of the witches, for example, that you've seen, all of the Uwasa that you've seen, like that overview of all those things that you've seen. That's the archive that's currently in the game right now, but you will also be able to still look at this once the end of service has happened, as well as another button that gives you a transfer code. What does the transfer code do? Well, it gives you special bonuses in Magia Exedra, and I'll get to what those bonuses are in a bit. First off, though, they then in the live stream talked a bit about the story. They said, oh, they have this magical lighthouse, and in that lighthouse, apparently you can see the memories of all different kinds of characters, and it's currently like malfunctioning in a way, and you need to go and find special items called lights of memory or whatever. And central to all of this is this character right here. Doesn't look like much, but it is a new character. It's called Namae, which it's just name, so it's literally just called name, but I assume when you actually play the game, you do the tutorial, and then probably during the tutorial you will just give this character your player name, I would assume. This is your player name, and they just called her name. So interesting. And this character apparently doesn't know anything because she has amnesia or whatever, and so probably trying to find out what happened to this character might be part of the overarching story while you try to repair the lighthouse by going through all different kinds of memories. That's basically what the idea is. Everything is memories. Okay, there's also this guy right here. This guy is called AQ, which is just the green cube. It's not actually a cube, it's more like just a green dude that looks a bit like cube, and basically he is somewhat like the curator, I guess, of the lighthouse. He's like sitting in the lighthouse and telling you what to do. So he'd probably be like your mentor / instructor kind of character. Then they also showed off some of the 3D models. So yeah, of course, this game is going to be fully 3D characters, 3D attacks, 3D enemies, 3D everything. And yeah, so just Iroha, for example. And some people have already talked about this, that hey, once the game launches, people will probably immediately rip all of the 3D assets in the game to put them in VR chat or something, I don't know. They also showed a little bit of the gameplay. The actual trailer for this wasn't uploaded separately as its own video, even though the other videos were for some reason. But if you watch the live stream, at some point they do show off a trailer right here that shows some gameplay, and here's some screenshots where you see this is the entrance on the top left to a witch barrier. They all will be entered through these like windows, and then you're in the witch barrier and you run around in 3D and find enemies, and once you find enemies, you will have to fight enemies, like on the bottom right where you see your characters lined up, and then you go into a battle. And on the bottom left you see something called a portrait, and what a portrait is we'll get to in a bit, to be fair, exactly right now. So they talked a bit about what portraits are, and basically, if you played Magia Record, it's Memoria. It's just an item that just shows an image, and you equip that item to a character, and it gives that character bonuses. Like you equip a special Memoria, or in this case a portrait, to a character, and then that character has, for example, 20% bonus attack or something like that. So they're like equip items, right? A lot of gacha games have also equip items like that are just images of scenes and characters, and that's basically the exact same thing right here. So yeah, basically Memoria again. Then they also said, hey, okay, so you remember that transfer code that I showed you from before? Where is it there? This button from the Magia Record Archive app, this transfer code. So if you take that transfer code and you put it into Magia Exedra once the game has launched, you get various bonuses, okay? First off, you will get the ability to look at some of your account data, or your account info rather, from within Exedra itself. For example, your characters that you've gotten, your Memoria that you've gotten, your transformation sequences, these little movies. You can just look at them. You don't get them, like you don't get the characters in Exedra. That would be too overpowered. You don't get anything tangible, except for some stuff I'm gonna get to in a second. But you can at least look at all of the characters and Memoria that you had in Magia Record. What do you actually get though? Like tangible stuff. Well, you get this special portrait over here. So you see this portrait on the left, that's basically a portrait / Memoria that you get in Exedra. What it does, we don't know, but it's a special portrait that you get specifically for having played Magia Record before. And this is probably the more important and the more spicy stuff, you get titles. So titles, I assume, will not have any gameplay bonus attached to it, but I assume on your player profile you can show off a title like you can in Magia Record, and you will get titles based on your best, or rather your highest Mirror's ranking rank. So if you were S3, then it probably will give you the best title in Magia Exedra, and you will also get a title based on your player score. So if you in Magia Record open up your player profile, there's like a number at some point that tells you like your rank basically on how many players are worse or better than you, for example. And the lower that number is, the better your account is. So if you're at number 1, that means that you have the best account basically in the entire game. Like, and no one has a better account than you if you have the number 1 there. And if you're like number 1000, that means okay, like 999 people have a better account than you. And you might be wondering like, well, what does it mean to have a good account? And there's some things that go into it, like how many, I think, spirit enhancement nodes you've unlocked, how many characters you have, how many slots those characters have, your mirror's strength or whatever. All of that basically goes into how strong your account is. And you will get in Magia Exedra a title based on how strong your Madoka Magia Record account was. That was a lot of words so far, so let's move on to some more interesting stuff. So there was something where once the end of service announcement was announced, people came together to ask the developers if they could maybe somehow make some of these stories still available to view after the game has gone down, because the game itself has some stories like event stories that you can no longer read because they're not in the archive app even after the game has shut down. And they kept asking them like, can we somehow still get these stories somehow? And they've said, okay, you can have some of them. And for example, here are some of these stories that are still going to be available, and the way they are going to be available is they will upload them to the Magia Exedra YouTube. So they will upload to the Magia Exedra YouTube Magia Record stories of, and this is the interesting part, Main Story Arc 1. The entirety, apparently. Main Story Arc 2, also apparently the entire thing, which is going to be like 20 hours at least. The entirety of Pull Historia, the entirety of Scene 0. And as well as some events, like apparently events that I assume are going to be important to like understand the characters, I guess, which is going to be the Dreaming Sakura event, the From New Breath or A New Beginning event, which was the 2nd anniversary event, the Green Jasper Diviners, Crimson Resolve, Dependence Blue, Ash Revolution, and Paradise Shift. Those will be uploaded to the Magia Exedra YouTube, I guess. Interestingly enough. Okay, I guess that's a victory for us. Some other thing that they announced at the same time was that Magia Day is back. So Magia Day was this event that was held every single year where a lot of the voice actors for Magia Record came together and just talked about the game a little, and they also usually had some announcements for stuff that was going to be added to the game, for example. And now since Magia Record is shutting down, you might be thinking, well, without Magia Record, how can there be a Magia Day? But you remember that it's also called Magia Exedra, so that Magia Day is still going to continue. It's just going to be the Magia Exedra Day, basically now. And it's going to be held on the 25th of August, and I assume we're going to get a lot more information based on when the game actually releases, because we still don't know when the game releases. It's going to be sometime in 2024. But I assume that during this Magia Day on the 25th of August that they will actually tell us when the game releases, as well as give us a whole bunch of other information probably on how the game is supposed to function. And yeah, so look forward to that for more information to be disseminated to us. Now that I've talked all about that, let's get down to more brass tacks. So the game is available in most countries, and this is where it gets a bit interesting. So you know the Steam page. Depending on where you are in the world, if you go to the Steam page or the Android page for it, which I think is right here, if you go to those pages, it might tell you that this is not available in your region. And we are currently working on putting together a map, which also is once again linked in the Discord. It's a pin in the Exedra discussion channel. There's going to be a map that shows you all of the countries on the world and which ones apparently have access to Magia, Exedra, and which ones don't. So it's not entirely based on region. Like in Europe, some countries apparently are able to play Exedra, some countries don't. It will just say it's not available. Basically the entirety of South America for some reason can't play Exedra, which is kind of weird, because there's a lot of fans down there. That's kind of weird. But here's the thing. On one hand, it's possible that they add more countries to the list of playable countries until the game releases, so this list might change. And secondly, even if the game comes out and it turns out it's kind of region locked in your area, there are ways of getting around that. You can use a VPN on Android, for example, probably on iOS too. You can just create another Steam account in a different country. So you can just create another Steam account and then say this Steam account is supposed to be in this or whatever country. You might need a VPN for that, I'm not sure. But then once you've created that account, you could then use that account to then play, etc. And people have already tested this and have said that by going into by like making a different Steam account and going into that account, they were actually able to view the Steam page for Exedra, and it did say that it was available in their region. That said, it's still possible that the actual game itself uses an additional account separate from the Steam account, and that one is going to be region locked. Like, we don't quite know yet, but rest assured, even if you are in one of the countries where it's apparently not available, there are ways around that. And once again, it's gonna be people helping on the Discord to tell you how you can actually get the game running if it happens to be region locked in your area. I'm in Germany and it's available for play here, as you can see right here, so I'm at least able to do all that stuff without having to worry about anything. Now let's get a bit more into the actual gameplay. So we have some screenshots here, we also have some stuff of them telling us what the game is. This was not specifically part of the stream. Like, the Steam page just went up and no one on the stream talked about it for some reason. And yeah, let's talk about the gameplay. So we have this screenshot right here, and when I first saw this screenshot, I immediately said to myself, is this just Star Rail? Yeah, this is just Star Rail. Look at that, this is Star Rail right here. Okay, let's go over the various parts of the UI. So at the very top, you have the boss with a health bar and a break bar, which of course we have the boss with a health bar and the break bar. Then you see the elements the boss is weak to, and you see the elements the boss is weak to. On the top right, we have speed up, auto battle, and pause. We also have speed up, auto battle, and pause. They changed those two icons around, okay? That's very different. And then on the very left, you have the turn order, okay? Which on the very left, you have the turn order right here. Then what else do you have? On the very bottom, you have your characters with their HP and their super special meter that allows them to do their ultimate attack, which of course you have right here as well. Although the meter is this big button that you see. And then on the bottom right, you have skill points 1 out of 5 in this case, and here you have skill points 4 out of 5 it seems. And then you have a regular attack, which in this case is a single target attack, which generates skill points. And down here you have a single target normal attack that generates skill points. And then you have a special attack that consumes skill points, and over there you have a special attack that probably consumes skill points. It's the same. It is basically exactly the same. And they also mentioned in the Steam page that there's apparently going to be something like a break system. But if you use the break system, where you use the right element allows you to wear down enemy break gauges and apply additional effects. That's the break effect system from Star Rail, which up here you have the break gauge, and if you attack with the weak elements, it reduces the break gauge, and if you deplete the break gauge, the enemy gets broken, which is like a stagger. But it depends on which character inflicted the break, and depending on what character it was, it will inflict various different effects. So yeah, it's basically the same. But here's the thing. I like Star Rail. E2 Acheron Hammer, by the way. I really do like Star Rail a lot, so I don't actually mind it that much that they seem to copy Star Rail this much, whether the camera angle is also basically the exact same. I don't care that they copied it, because they copied something that I think is really fucking good. This is one of the best combat systems, I think, in like turn-based gacha RPGs, right? Generally, so I think this is totally fine. Outside of that, like generally, it seems like there'll be 6 elements. You have, right here, you see some of the elements. You have water, fire, you have grass, you have light and dark, and then there's like some 6th element, which might be like either non-elemental or physical or void or something like that. Maybe they call it void because in Maga Record there's a 6th element called void, but who knows. But yeah, generally it seems like when you play this game, you're going to walk through a witch labyrinth, and when you walk through the labyrinth, you'll encounter enemies, and then you go into this battle system right here, where you then do a bit of battle, which yeah, is very similar to Star Rail, but I like Star Rail, so I think it's gonna be fine. But yeah, that's basically a quick overview for now. Most of this is just gathered though from the Steam page and from these screenshots that you have right here. So a lot of this could maybe be a little bit different when the game actually releases, but at least from everything that we see so far, this seems to be the way that the game is going to work. And you see also here Iroha and Yachiyo are also in the game, with special never before seen scenes of Iroha and Ui, for example. So there's going to be a new story as well for the Maga Record crowd. So yeah, that seems to be about that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.